I want to do my own camp. And she was like, wanted to do some witchy, mystical thing. So I was like, fuck. Then I gonna do the complete opposite of her. And then I just go only on the surface.
From the Scandinavian forests up north to the sandy dunes of the Gerlach Empire, one origin story, one burner at a time. This is Burner Profiles. In this episode, we are visiting Filip of the Peacocks. We sat down and poured a glass of red wine and really got in the deep end about life, love, and the burner community.
Hello, Filip.
Hello.
Welcome to Burner Profiles.
Thank you.
We're in a very special place today. We are actually at your apartment.
Yes.
This is, I'm blown away. Could you give us a little context about the apartment here?
Well,
where we are?
I lived here since I moved from home, so I lived here for like 16 years.
Yes.
And I think over the years has just collected a lot of stuff, a lot of beautiful things, and with age I kind of refined it, like stopped having all the practical things that you should have, like a food table or proper chairs to sit on, and just prioritize beautiful things instead. So it's quite chaotic, but I think it's like structured chaos.
Filip, tell us a little bit about what you do in the default world.
In the default world.
Yes.
Yeah, so like lately I've been having a little bit of an identity crisis because I shift career.
Okay.
I've been working in like culture my whole life and studying literature and working with poetry and stuff. And then I got tired of the culture business because it sucks. With like crazy bosses, bad job offers and barely any jobs. So I kind of got tired of it. I'm still impressed by all the people who survived there, but like and got into this intense education in programming. So now I'm coding.
Oh, wow.
So like, I used to be, at parties,
yes,
when someone asks you what you do.
Yeah.
And before it was like interesting. Yeah, I work with organizing poetry events or something. Now it's like I'm a regular IT dude.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what you were doing before, like organizing cultural events, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
Yes, so I've been doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But so I studied literature and I studied like in the humanities for many years. And I worked a lot in different sections of the culture scene. I worked with theater for a while, mainly production and communication. And I worked with translation a little bit. And I worked in a bookstore for like 10 years while I was studying.
I can tell.
So the last job I had before this programming shit, I was production manager for events for a culture magazine called 20-tal.
Okay, very cool, very cool. I think I need more wine.
Always need more wine.
Okay, so maybe we can go a little bit back further. Give us a little context of who Filip is, like as a person.
That's like one of the biggest questions, right?
Who are you?
who the fuck am I? Yeah, so I think I've always, not always, but all my grown life been very fascinated by like the social aspect of life. And I like talking. I like talking to strangers, I like talking to new people, I like collecting people around me and create space for people. And I'm like interested in when social settings are a bit weird, and like when you at some dinner sometimes and an awkward silence comes up, I'm kind of like excited about it because I think it's interesting. So I think I've been like diving around in different social circles my whole life.
Right.
Because I think it's fun.
I can very much relate to that. I think a lot of burners are in some way one variation of a social chameleon. It's pretty common among the burner scene.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And tell us how you got into your first burn. Maybe you give us a little story of how you ran into the burner community.
Yeah, sure. Initially. So I was talking to someone about, this is just a pretext, but like I was talking to someone about Facilitaded, which is like a kind of club thing in Stockholm right now. Which is, we don't talk about it.
We can't give the golden goose away.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I was talking to someone about this club space. It's quite special, like with a special kind of social environment with a lot of people who probably don't fit in the world completely, and they go there and they feel that they can breathe and create an environment that is very special. And I was talking about my first reaction to that, and most people have the reaction of like, wow, what is this? This is what I've been looking for. And I did feel excited, but I felt like, wow, this is one of these places. Right. Because I think I've been in and out of these looking for these kind of places my whole life in different ways. So it can be like a group of friends. It can be the burner community. I was in the King community a little bit for a while, and the theater world is also a little bit like that, you know. It was kind of the same for me with the burner community. But the origin of it was that two close friends of mine, Josephine and Huji, has been in the burner community longer than I, and they kind of found it when we were close friends, and both of them separately tried to drag me into it, and I was like super reluctant.
Why were you super reluctant?
I didn't get the thing. Like, firstly, Huji, love him madly. He is not always super good at communicating things, so he was like, it's a participatory event and everybody contributes and it's super fun. And I was like, what am I going to contribute with? I don't get it. Like, what am I supposed to do there? Like,
That's such a rudimentary way of explaining substitute. Yeah.
But you know, like if you just explain it that way to someone who have never experienced it before,
exactly,
it makes no sense. Like, what am I gonna bring? Like, should I do a theater play? Like, I don't know what to do there.
Yeah.
And then also, like, Josephine dragged me to these parties, and it was fun. Like, you know, all the people were like free and weird, and there was like a free sexuality that I was intrigued by, and many people were poly because I was poly at the time, but did barely know anyone who was. So that was like nice, but then, you know, it was something about the hippie thing that kind of threw me off. Like, you know, I was out smoking on the balcony at a party and someone came up to me and was like, Filip, have you thought about this, that everybody has a soul? And I was like, I'm out.
I would be out too.
So it took me quite a long time. And then years later, me and my partner at the time kind of found ourselves in this weird group of people organizing like sex parties or something.
Yes.
Which became quite a close-knitted group. And some of them were burners. So then I was dragged into a camp that one of the people there were in, called the QQQ.
Yes, infamous.
And so that was my first Borderland. And actually the first burner event I was ever at was a midsummer burn at Daniel Bravini's place.
Yes, the Eagle's Nest. Or?
No clue.
Yes, it was the Eagle's Nest. Yeah, okay, very cool. And when was your first large burn, Borderland?
So it was that summer 2016, I think.
Okay.
I'm pretty bad at time, but something like that. So at like midsummer, I went to the Eagle's Nest.
Yes.
And then later during the summer, I went to Borderland.
Wow. Okay. What was your experience at QQQ like?
It was very fun. It was a camp, because the QQQ doesn't exist anymore. It was a camp that was very big and very well established. Like, it was quite old at the time. It had been around for years and everybody knew them. And it was like filled with a big mixture of very cool people. And like especially the first year was like an amazing experience with the QQQ. The second year was also amazing, but something that I started to feel that kind of leads up to what I'm doing now, but like was that I felt that I got in a little bit too late, and that like the structures were already set, and it was super big, so it was like no group feeling in the whole camp. It was like smaller groups within the camp, because I think we were like 60 people or something, which is quite a large group to try to create a coherence in, you know. So it was really fun, but like also very scattered. But and I also felt that like, it was something about like all the people there were amazing and did amazing things, but it was almost like a, you know, some kind of fire in the group that was lacking in the end. You know, to drag the group together, to do it like to do something intertwined with each other. So it was like many people doing lots of different things, which is amazing, and a one way to do a burn, definitely.
But I think that's part of like the life cycle. You know, it gets a little too big, and then all of a sudden the core ethos or that spirit that connects really everyone together starts to dissipate a little bit.
Exactly.
Almost like the beginning of the end type
exactly.
of thing. Yeah.
So like in one way I was like almost regretting not getting into it earlier.
Right.
But also that's part of it, you know.
Right, and I guess that was the perfect transition to the infamous peacocks. Yes. Please give us a little bit of like the inception story, the origin of what started the peacocks.
The origin of House of Peacock.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so basically it kind of came from there. Like I felt that the QQQ was very big and scattered, as I said, and that something was lacking. And I also felt that the second year in the QQQ, I was lead for the camp, and I like started to take on these kind of lead roles, and I thought that was another kind of very interesting social position to be in, to try to lead something, because I don't know, it is a weird place to be the leader of like a group of people, especially in the burner community. And I wanted to do something of my own. I also think I felt that like I didn't really understand all the built social structures within the QQQ, because it was so big and old. And I was like, I want to do it from scratch, like do something new.
Right.
And like the idea of the peacocks kind of from the beginning was just a bad joke. Like I wanted to do something on my own, and my partner at the time, she came and was like, I want to do my own camp. And she was like wanting to do some witchy mystical thing. And I was like, she's gonna steal a lot of the members that I want. So I was like, fuck. Then I gonna do the complete opposite of her. She do the mystical shit, and then I just go only on the surface. And it was also like a joke with the whole, a lot of the burner norms about like finding your inner self,
authenticity,
authentic relating, authenticity, blah blah blah, all that shit. So we were like, we don't go on the inner journey, we go on the outer journey, and just vanity all the way. And found the peacock as a symbol for vanity, which is like an old symbol for vanity.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Can you give us a little history about like the peacock? Can you do you have a mystical ethos around the peacock?
Well, I think it depends on who you ask, but like what I wanted was like something that I thought was very smart in the QQQ was that they had like a word to unify themselves. They were the queers, and that is like it kind of creates the group in a special way. These kind of rituals, almost like with the queers, that is a group. So I wanted something like snappy to call ourselves, to be able to work around as a group, to create like a culture within the camp. And the peacock is an old symbol in art for vanity, vanity and beauty. I don't have much more context than that, but it depends on who you ask. Like, there's a lot of like mystical symbolism about it in like modern day New Age context that is like freestanding, independent beauty, like beauty in yourself. I think that's compared to art history bullshit. I think it used to be a symbol for vanity. I think in like Eastern cultures, it's also been like a symbol for rebirth and stuff like that. I'm not sure, but
how was the experience of having a camp for yourself, or like starting a camp at Borderland for the first time?
Super fun. So it kind of went in phases, like, because the first year when I got this idea, it was the first year of COVID, so Borderland didn't happen. And we went to this smaller burn party, like a birthday party for a whole weekend out in some cabin somewhere. And I asked some friends who are still in the camp, like, we should do a theme bar with the peacocks. So that's basically where it started, the Pouncing Peacock Bar. And we dressed up, was super fancy and super like divas, barely stood in the bar at all. We were rowdy as fuck, and the bar was beautiful, and we were beautiful, and it was super fun.
Okay, yeah. So what are some of the elements that stayed within you from that phase, from coming from the QQQ to the Peacocks, and what changed?
I mean, quite a lot. Like the QQQ, I think QQQ is difficult to pinpoint, and I think they didn't want to be pinpointed either. Yeah, like, but the vibe in it was very much like a open-minded party vibe, but still a family. So like there was elements of like being rowdy party people, but also like closely knit to each other. And also a lot of like people wanted to explore the extravagant, like the self-expression. It was quite a lot of focus on that. And also an openness to like queer and sexualities in different ways, and an openness to sex without being like a sex camp. And quite a lot of those parts I've taken with me. Like in many ways, the Peacocks is like a child of the QQQ in many ways. Like there's right now I don't think there's any members from the QQQ except for me in the camp. But like I have taken a lot from that, definitely.
Yeah. But I mean, no questions asked, without a doubt, Peacocks stands on its own. It's been an incredible addition and element to the burner community. Can you give us a little rundown of the ethos of the Peacocks? You know, who are the Peacocks?
Definitely. So, actually, as I said, like it began with like this joke about burner norms. But
please give us some insight on the burner norms. for those who are.
But you know, like the burner norms, you can't really actually like collect them in a couple of sentences, and I don't think you should be able to. Like the actual burner culture is by definition very diverse and very like all over the place, and that's I think how it should be. But like there are some of these, like, you know, there are a lot of new agey ideas, different scales of new agey, but like about authenticity, authentic relating is a big thing, and the circling scene, like a special way of communicating about emotions and inner life.
Yes.
And going on an inner journey, taking potentially different substances to like explore your inner self, and like a lot of the ideas behind it is very much find the core, find yourself, find something within you that is true.
Yeah, dive inward. Let the burner community be a transformative platform for transformation within yourself.
Yeah. And for me, like when I got into it, I had been in a lot of different settings, but barely any like hippie context before. And I come from like studying literature and philosophy at the university, so I've been reading a lot of like post-structuralist, postmodern philosophers and stuff like that, and like queer gender theory a lot, which has interested me. So for me, like this idea of authenticity was like a little bit naive. Like, is there really an authentic self? Blah blah blah, like stuff like that. It kind of surprised me that this was such a big thing. So like the more I thought about this joke about the outer journey, the more it also kind of made sense to me. That it's like it became more than a joke. Like this idea of going on the outer journey and like look good to feel good is actually true in a way. Like I don't think you can cure a depression by dressing up fancy, but I do think it does something to you. So the point is like there's a reciprocal relationship between the inner and the outer. If you dress up, if you feel sexy yourself, that's the point of it, of course. Nobody cares about the other people. But like, if you feel sexy yourself, you will straighten your back a bit. You will feel a little bit better. Like it does get a little bit easier to like handle all the other shit.
Yeah.
And like it does something with your inner self, whatever that means. And for me, it's also been like an exploration of yourself, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Like, what does it mean if I put on heels? I feel that I speak differently when I have heels. I feel that I move differently, but it's still me.
Yeah.
And when I have a suit, I move in a different way, and it's still me.
Yeah.
So like, your authentic self is, I guess, in that case, very many things. But it is an exploration of yourself, I guess.
For me, the radical self-expression kind of comes to mind. We were having a conversation actually in the car coming from Substitute. And I was trying to, find a way to kind of dip my toes into the ethos of the Peacocks. And then I was like, I'm having a hard time playing a character. And you were like, it's not about playing a character. It's just being an augmentation of your authentic self. And I thought that was so beautiful.
Yeah, so like, I should also say, like, the ethos of the Peacocks, like, my views of it is like one thing. That's like how I started it, the way I think about it. But the Peacocks is all the people within the camp, and everyone who has been in the camp, everyone who has seen it, like, that is the Peacocks. But for me, it's like because I interview everyone, or but I'm always in it, like, interview everyone who might join the camp. And I always say in that interview that, like, an important point is that there's no dress code to be a Peacock. There's no specific way to look or be. It all has to do with being you extra. Like, my idea of it is that everybody has this part of themselves that is like, wants to be seen, wants to be in the center, wants to be like admired. And I think that part is quite often surrounded with shame or other shit. And especially in like Swedish culture, where you are not supposed to stick out and stuff. And like, my idea now is for the Peacocks is like to create a group of people who are like different kinds of people, and make them into a family, make them into a real safe group. And from that point, kind of take out that part of yourself that wants to be seen, and try to diminish as much shame as you can by encouraging each other, and then just be yourself extra. And that, I think, is transformative in itself.
Right. So how has that process, and combined with the art of co-creation, what has that manifested in terms of the activity that goes on in the Peacocks?
Oh, like, I think the way I am as a camp lead, I think, is 100% based on the fact that it's in a burner context, in a co-creational context. Like, I am a very soft lead. Like, in the beginning, people joked calling me like the Queen Peacock. It was quite obvious that I was not. Angela is a queen. I am not like the ruler in that way. I'm Peacock Mama. Like, that is what I am in the camp. So like, whenever like someone wants to build a big project, I am very explicit from the beginning that, like, I'm not gonna lead that. That's not me. For me, the Peacock give ourselves to the burn, and everything on top of that. If you want to build a space, if you want to build a project, if you want to have a party, that is just extra. So like, if people want to do project within the camp, then they drive it. So everything that actually happens in the camp is like obviously encouraged by me and all the other people, but like that is the group, whoever they are this year, who does that. Like,
and part of your influence is to really bring that out in people, give them the encouragement and the support and the safety to really explore for themselves and give it a try.
Yeah, of course. Like that is part of it, but like the ideas comes from the people in the group.
Yeah. What are some of the things that have infamously happened in the Peacocks, if you don't mind sharing?
No, sure. Like I think. So what happened? Like as I said, like my idea from the beginning is that we don't need big things like we give ourselves. But since I am a child of the QQQ, we also had a lot of stuff from the beginning. Since the QQQ died, and they had been around for ages, they had like a container filled with shit that I kind of inherited / stole. I'm not sure. I did send a mail in a chaotic mail group, and nobody said no. So like so we took care of QQQ's old stuff, which included like a 70 square meter big tent that we made into a social space called Vanity Square, where we built like a catwalk and a throne and like a bar and like a dress up fancy area and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to participate in the catwalk. Yes, as a member of the church.
Yeah, so that is one of the big things we did last year, the queer extravaganza, which was like originally an idea to create like a ball from the ballroom culture, which is like a queer, a non-white queer space in the US where like voguing comes from. But we actually changed it into not making a direct reference to ballroom, because that is the subculture of ballroom still exists and it's quite sensitive to who works with it, and none of the people organizing it were actually ballroom people. So we made it into a queer visibility event, kind of inspired by drag shows and ballroom, and like so people walked in categories and did drag and stuff like that, and it was super fun, and it was quite apparent that it was well needed in the community. Like it was very fun, and it ended like beautifully with like a big rainbow behind the tent, like actually like
cosmic blessing.
Yeah, cosmic blessing.
Sorry to speak in hippie terms, but a rainbow did come. Okay, so you know, from what I'm hearing so far, Peacocks was somewhat of a antithesis to some of the elements that were happening within the borderland, and you felt that there was some balance that needed to happen, some sort of counter idea. And I think now your efforts are more into Vanity Square. Is that what's happening? What are your plans for this year's Borderland?
Oh, that we'll see. But I want to comment that, like, yeah, in one way, and like it came up as an antithesis to like some of the ideas, but I don't actually think it is. Like it's not like this, you do that so we do the opposite. I actually think we're kind of looking for the same thing. Like I don't see the Peacocks as like fundamentally different from the rest of Borderland. We do something our own way, and I think that's kind of part of what makes it important, that like because like Borderland is supposed to be like inclusive, blah blah blah, and a place to like be safe, but everybody do not feel safe or like included in the very very soft hippie vibe of like meditation and yoga and eye gazing. Like that is beautiful for many people, but many people, including myself, are too fucking restless for that. And I think a lot of people find their home in the Peacocks because it is a safe space for them, and it is an exploration of yourself in whatever way you want. But the Peacocks don't take ourselves that seriously.
Yeah.
We do work with all that shit, and but like we also have fun.
Yeah.
And we look beautiful.
Yes.
And we are a camp that is kind of built on the idea that you don't need to you don't need to take bar shifts at specific times because everybody has way too much ADHD for that. And like you don't have to be in the camp all the time.
Yeah.
Like people run around all over the place, and that's part of it.
Right.
Like I don't want to be in the same spot for too long.
No.
So like we create a family in different ways. So like, and I think many people feel very relieved by that air in that context.
Amazing. Any shout out or peacocks? Now's your time. Is there anything if you were to like send an invitation out there to people watching, who are like, hey, the peacocks sound interesting? What would you say to them personally?
The whole idea of it is that yes, we're divas. That's the whole point. Like we try to like bring forth our inner divas, but we don't look down on people. Like if you wear boring clothes, then I don't know what you're doing here. But you're still welcome up and like try the catwalk and see if you can be, like, if that can be you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But a part of it also, like honestly, like a part of the whole idea is that I do think that everybody's posing. Like some people do the yoga poses and some people do the eye gazing. We just do poses better and with more intention.
Yeah. How has Borderland or the burner community been a platform for you in terms of like how you changed, how you evolved? Who were you before the burner scene and who are you after, now that you're totally in it?
I think it's like part of a longer journey, but like one kind of narrative could be that like me and my ex, I keep referring to her, like we haven't been together for ages. Amanda, she's in the burner community too. She's in the Polynartes gang. We're still very close friends. Like we kind of accidentally fell into the kink scene. We were basically drunk. A friend like convinced us to buy a ticket to Decadence, which is like a kink club in Stockholm. And the day after we woke up super hungover and was like, fuck me, we don't have any clothes to bring. We just went into town, found something to wear and went there, like stumbled into it. And I think the kink scene for me was the first kind of these kind of spaces where you could be different. I mean, you can always be different, but like where you can explore difference in a more safe space. A different kind of parties, a different kind of settings.
Right. Not the Stodaplan, get drunk, leave at 1, wear fancy clothes. Exactly.
Still wear fancy clothes though, but in a different way.
Fair enough.
But like, and that's also the first time I think, like I've always been interested in how I dress, I think, at least in my grown life. I dressed like an idiot when I was younger, but like I still was interested in it somehow. But in the kink scene was the first time I like, as growing up as a man, like to see myself in a way that like, how do I dress to feel sexy? Like to be the object of like sex for myself, kind of, which I guess many women have their whole life, for the good and the bad.
Right.
And quite many men do not, I think. I'm not sure, but like at least it was like that for me, and that was super interesting to realize that like all the fashion in the kink community for men is very much based on like a macho gay kind of thing,
right? Which
can be super hot, but I don't like. I'm not comfortable in it, and I found that like lace, for example, I felt super sexy in and stuff like that. And I did start to like explore a feminine side way more in my expression. And then I fell into the burner scene, and that became like a development of that, because the burner scene is way more open, and you can do whatever you want, and people will be like appreciative of it. So there I could like explore it way more freely. So that has been super important for me, like a space to explore that.
Right. Yeah, and I think your exploration has inadvertently created a space for other people to do so as well.
I hope so.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, I've gone like, okay, I'm gonna make a visit to the peacocks. I gotta I gotta dress the scene.
As you should.
As you should. As you should.
Make an effort.
Yeah, make an effort. Shit, show up. Okay.
Yeah, but that's like it is something that was super interesting the first year we did it at Borderland. How people reacted to it. But because for me it's like, yes, it's important to me and it's like a hobby project and this is super fun and I collected all these great people and this is like amazing, but like the way other people from the outside reacted to us, that was like actually important. Like people reacted in a way that like, this is something that was needed. I feel super inspired by this,
right.
And that took me a long time to land in me. That like, because like I kind of hadn't expected that.
Right.
I did expect appreciation from people and blah blah blah, but like that it was like important. That was very cool.
Right. I think there's a unique thing that happens sometimes in the beginner community where an individual, for their own kind of evolution, facilitate a journey for themselves and inadvertently all of a sudden become the voice, become kind of the center for that type of transformation. People come to you, people resonate with you, people are like, how did you go through this? How, you look like somebody, you're all of a sudden the person that you wish you were for you when you were at that stage in your process.
But also in the other direction, like I got appreciation from people that I have looked up to, that I see as like inspirations for the peacocks.
Wow.
Like Amanda Mungsgård, for example, that you have interviewed, right? She is for me like a proto peacock.
Wow.
Like someone who kind of cleared the scene for what we are doing, and she gave me a lot of appreciations for doing that, like continuing that journey, and that was like super big for me.
You know, now that you mention it, I'm like, oh yeah, I know like several outfits from Amanda Mungsgård that is like the color theme of a peacock.
I mean, she now she's more down dressed, but like she's peacock at heart.
Shout out to Amanda. Cheers. So yeah, I guess the first official inception of the Peacocks, the House of Peacocks, apologies, is at the Crossing. Now the Crossing was interesting as in that it was like during COVID, in between Borderland, and it was on an island, and it was a little bit, we all had tests and stuff like this, but it was very interesting. Tell us a little bit more about the journey at the Crossing.
Yeah, so like as you say, like that was the first like iteration of the camp, and it was like founded by me and some other people who did the bar that I was talking about.
Yes.
Bouncing Peacock Bar. Also, as I said, some of them are still with us, like Wanda, who was with me from the beginning. She's co-lead with me now. She's always kind of been, but she wants to be behind the scenes, and now she has actually said that it's okay to say that she's co-lead. She was an unofficial co-lead, now she's an actual co-lead.
Yes.
Amazing person. I would never survive without her. At the Crossing, that was like the first time we did it as a real camp and tried to create a group. But it was really much of a prototype for several reasons. One of them was that I was in a very bad period personally. Like I was basically in a long depression, like for 1.5 years. And that was like the Crossing was in the middle of that.
Wow.
So I knew from the beginning that like I do not have the capacities for leading the way I would have liked to, and to like create a group the way I would have liked to. And it was also like, since it was a smaller setting,
Should we get some ice cream?
I didn't even know the ice cream truck existed anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of pathetic and hilarious that the weather is what it is outside and they're serving ice cream.
That is weird.
Yes.
Yeah, so like, like the Crossing was a smaller setting. It was a smaller burn. I think the Peacocks, I think we were like 18, 20 people, something like that. And in like at that point, most of the people were people I kind of knew, ish, and I didn't have the energy for like putting more intention in the creation of the group. And it was amazing people, and the burn was amazing and it was super fun, but we didn't do much, like explicitly do much. We walked around and were peacocks, but like our campsite, we basically just stole Conrad's campsite, and everybody thought that we had this fancy tent, but that was actually Conrad's.
I remember tying it down I remember helping Molly tie down and using shibari to tie down the tent, actually.
No, that was a kitchen tent. That's
okay.
little shit, yeah.
Okay.
But we had like a fancy big tent in the center of our camp. But there was actually a border that was around that, which meant that was not part of our camp. That was Conrad's camp.
Okay.
But basically, like it was super fun, but it was very, very loose. Like we did the peacock thing, and we were fancy, and we had a direction in it. But like I didn't manage to like create the group, but that didn't really matter for what we did. Like it was a burn that was kind of prototyping. I think the church did the thing, first thing there too.
It was the inception of the church as well.
So it was like, I think a lot of smaller burns during the COVID era gave birth to new ideas, actually. And yes, so it kind of became something. It was very fun, and it created a direction for us. But it was a prototype, kind of. And then the next year we did it at Borderland for the first time.
Right. And this was Borderland when we first had Borderland land.
In Alvesjö, yeah.
Alvesjö, yes.
So it was 2021? 2022, maybe. Something like that, whatever. When we did it at Borderland for the first time, and that became something completely different. Also want to thank the people from the crossing for like the other people for like helping me keep the camp together, because that was quite tough in where I was at.
Right.
And then the next year at the Borderland, I did have the energy, and that, then it really became like a proper camp with a setting and a direction and like an ethos, and like and became the Peacocks what it is today, kind of.
Right. So many people think that like they're like, oh my goodness, how did they come up with something so polished and like, you know, out there and like, you know, like on the nail? But you know, it's such a common thing. You know, it's an iterative process. It happens. It doesn't happen overnight, not at all.
No, of course. But it's also funny, like as a parenthesis here, like some another part that I'm enjoying a lot with the Peacocks. And with the burn in general, like a burn is, for me, a place where you can play, and I don't mean play in a necessarily non-serious way. Like I think play is important, but you can play and people are into the game.
Yes.
Like if I go up to someone and says that I'm a monkey and act like a monkey, they would like be like, okay, you're a monkey. That's cool, and maybe play with me or just walk the other direction because I don't care. But like, they're fine with me being a monkey, kind of.
Right.
They're into the game, and people think it's fun.
Yes. One of my favorite parts of the burn.
Yeah, and that is the Peacock. Like it is playing a game, still playing yourself, but like it's a game. Like it's a role you put on that is still yourself, kind of. And I have enjoyed a lot with like taking that to outside of the burn, to like the planning of the burn in the social media context, for example.
Yes.
Like hyping the camp. Like playing the Peacock role in the big Facebook group. It's endlessly fun. Because people, I mean, the funny thing about it is that it works so well because people are into the game.
Right.
So like the first time we did it at Borderland, I hyped it up so much so that so many people who did not know the Borderland context so much thought that we were like a big established camp.
Yes.
We actually had like a placement conflict the first year, that we were placed in like the same place as another camp, and when they saw that it was us, they basically, the lead for that camp mailed me and was like, shit, sorry dude, I didn't know there was a peacocks. You're like big and established, and like we're gonna be over here instead. It's fine. And I was like, I mean, it's our first year, but sure. It's cool. It's cool with me. Yeah, just because that's
so fun. Oh, that's so amazing.
And like during the burn, we became like a status symbol.
Yeah.
Like people were like, oh, I get to hang out with the peacocks, and that is totally built on bullshit.
You heard it here first, folks.
But it works because it's like people being into the game.
Yes, yes.
And into the play, and it's a fun play.
Yeah.
It is a play that doesn't look down on people, that doesn't like make fun of other people in that sense. Like it's not on anyone else's expense. So people are into the game, and it's a fun game. Like, and then it kind of works.
Yeah.
And that's why I think the peacocks would never work at Burning Man, for example, because it's too big. I can't hype myself in the same way. Like it's like going from a little village to New York and think that you can be someone there. Like it's too many people. Like you can't be seen in the same way.
Yes.
And that has been super fun. And the first year, like also in the same sense, like the second year of the peacocks in the application process. I had like a question in the forum that was something like, why do you want to become a peacock? And I had like several people answering something in the lines of, I've never been to Borderland, I barely know what Borderland is, but friends of mine had told me, but you're a peacock.
Oh.
So basically, in 1 year, we created a stereotype.
Yeah.
Which is fucking sick. Like, because everybody in the peacocks are completely different people, but something stuck.
Yeah.
And I agree with them. There is something that is a peacock. I can't pinpoint it myself.
Right.
But it's funny that people who are not from within the camp kind of know what a peacock is after 1 year of Borderland. That's very
incredible.
Fun.
That's an incredible evolution. It's a flawless execution. For me, my personal experience has been like, oh wow, it's so fun to engage in this kind of vanity status symbol, like it's so fun to kind of play into that game, and it's almost inviting, we want to, there's a part of us that's like looking for permission to be fabulous, and I think
right.
And I love the fact that like peacocks are like so polished in that execution in a way. Yes,
polished, but also, as I said, like the people within the camp are very different.
Yeah.
But that is part of it. Like I want to create a role of the diva that doesn't look down on people.
Right.
And it's like, I'm the hottest bitch in the room, and you can join me here. Like you can also be that.
Yeah.
Like that is a part of it.
Yeah.
Like creating space without taking space from someone.
Right. Wow. Yeah. So how do you see the evolution of the peacocks? Do you have, maybe it's really up to the co-creation aspect. Maybe it really is a soft leadership and it evolves as it does. But is there something that you have in mind, something that you want to champion in terms of an idea through the peacocks?
For me, it very much has to do with the people within the camp. For me, like to lead at a burn in a sustainable way for like your own stress levels. You need to, because I have worked with like event production and stuff like that in the commercial world, and there you kind of need to be a more of a hard leader, because there's a time deficit and there's like an economical things, and like people have bought tickets for your event and they expect something, so you need to have a good product. At a burn, you don't need to have a good product. That's not the point of it. I mean, if it is a good product, that's great, but like the point of it is to do something together, and everybody have different levels of time and whatever. Like it's chaotic, and it needs to be. It's not efficient, and it shouldn't be. Like co-creation, like to have a strong leader on top telling everybody what to do, way more efficient. But that's not what we're doing at Borderland. We're creating something else, which has nothing to do with efficiency. So you kind of need to be acceptant to the chaos.
Right.
Like when I start planning the camp each year, we're very few who come to the meetings or are on Discord and shit. You just have to be patient and know that stuff will happen, because otherwise you get stressed out.
Right.
And for me, what I'm doing is I'm creating the framework for stuff to happen. There is an evolution within the camp, and it definitely has to do with me, but I'm not putting the direction for it, really.
Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible how much trust you can put in to the art of co-creation. Oftentimes, it is so chaotic. It is so chaotic. It's
I like the chaos.
Yeah, some people thrive on the chaos. Some people burn out through the chaos. We all handle things differently, and I think that's also part of the burn.
But that's kind of what I mean. I think if you lead a project at the Borderland, as you do in the commercial world, so like I think I've seen this a lot of times. Like people who are really good project managers in the normal world, and then they try to bring the exact same framework and skills into the burner world, they burn out. Because if you are a person who expects, like, I'm telling you to do this and I expect this to be done, you're gonna be fucked. And if you expect like a product that you have in your head to be the outcome of the product or the project, you're gonna be fucked, because that's not gonna happen. Like it's gonna be a product, and it's probably gonna be amazing, hopefully, but it's not gonna be the same.
Yeah, it almost takes away a little bit of the magic of what burns can be and what the burner experience is, especially when you're leading a camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really takes, giving people more freedom allows more of the magic to take space. The more you input direction or frames or tools or methodologies, the more it kind of gets in the way of people exploring themselves. And it feels like, for me, Borderland or burns in general is that, for you to be creative, for you to be yourself, to explore what that really means.
Yeah. I mean, it's whatever you want it to be, of course, but and like. And some people have done amazing projects with being more hard leaders, and that's fine, of course. But like, it's not really what I want to do there. So like, the evolution of the peacocks for me has 100% to do with who is in the camp. Like last year, for example, Ohad, one of the peacocks, told me this idea that he wanted more art cars at the Borderland. And he had an idea to make an art car, and he's from Tel Aviv, and he lives in Tel Aviv. And I was like, I love Ohad madly. He's a little bit chaotic in the organizational aspects, and I was like honestly doubting that this would ever happen. Encouraged him 100%, and I was like, this is going to be amazing. But I did doubt him, and he made it happen, and it was amazing. It was the only way I ever got to Mumima was in that art car. And that's what happened. Like the first year at Borderland, we got this big tent, as I said, a 70 square meter big tent from the QQQ. And we wanted to make it into Vanity Square. And I was very explicit in like the camp meetings and stuff that like, I'm not going to be a build lead or like a project lead for the specific projects. That's not what I'm good at. That's not what I want to do. So other people, one of the people, definitely a shout out to like who has been super important is Angela, the queen cock.
Queen cock, I love it.
Who got into the camp in the best manner possible. I said no to her because we were full. Like we had an interview, but we were full basically. And I said no to her, and she's like a veteran burner from like Burning Man Africa Burn, but had never been to Borderland before. And then she was like, oh, that's too bad, blah, blah, blah. And then she got back to me again and was like, dude, you can't say no to me. I've looked around and it's only like Kidsville and sober camps, and you want me. I'm a proper peacock, and like you, like, it's a mistake for you to say no to me, and I don't want to be anywhere else. And I was like, fair enough. Like, that is a very peacocky way to get into the camp, and I totally accept that. That is like,
yeah.
And she got in, and she was the one building Vanity Square.
Right.
Or like we all built it, but like she
yeah.
Made it what it looks like. Kind of. She planned it and has been like lead for decoration and stuff like that.
Yeah. What is Vanity Square, and how is it going to be at Borderland this year?
So Vanity Square is like where we meet the rest of the burn, kind of our social space, our public space for meeting the rest of the burn. Like we also meet the rest of the burn because we're out peacocking everywhere. But and I think we were like 90% of the dark room at the church for peacocks. But like this is like where we invite the burn to us. So it's the point of it is to make it a fantastic, beautiful place, and it's like in the center of it there's a catwalk, which is like a lot of the stuff in the peacocks I think have happened quite randomly, and they make so much sense. Like the catwalk was like originally like a stupid idea, like of course we should have a catwalk like with the peacocks, and it's a brilliant aspect of a party place because it's basically just like some very low simple structure with a red mat on it, and it makes people want to go up to it and be seen. It's so smart, so simple and so smart, and it came just out of nowhere.
Yeah, it exploded on the scene, to say the least.
Yeah.
Yes.
And also, like, one of the things we always do, we have an opening party on the Tuesday. And the first year we did that, the first year at Borderland, like, we had hyped this party so much. There was so many people coming, and we were like, half an hour before the party started, we were like, maybe we should do something. Like some kind of opening, like it's boring to just start a party, like put on some music, like maybe we should have a show or something. But the peacocks were everywhere. The electricity had gone out, and like we had no food because the electricity had gone out. And it was very chaotic, and we tried to collect all the peacocks, like everybody should walk the catwalk. And we just managed to collect most of the peacocks, put them like inside, and then everybody walked the catwalk to music as the starting of the party. And I realized that like this is a brilliant way to start a party. Both because we get to show off for our exhibitionism and shit, but also like the peacocks walking the catwalk in front of the audience who's like into the game, as we talked about, like shouting and applauding, and the peacocks feeling super sexy. A lot of them very nervous, honestly, of course, like but just going into that energy of feeling sexy in yourself, and then the party starts. So everybody in the audience kind of taps into that energy. So the party itself becomes like very intense in some kind of self-love kind of, or like self-sexiness, like feeling sexy kind of way, which has been amazing. Like that energy is fantastic, and it kind of came from this chaotic idea like half an hour before the party, you know. Amazing.
So Borderland now, last year 4,000 people registered for memberships, and this year 8,000 people registered for memberships, and it's quite apparent that Borderland is it, and it's growing, and that comes with its challenges. But that also comes with its benefits. How do you orient yourself in the expansion of the Borderland?
I mean, the way I see it, like, first of all, I like the size of Borderland in comparison to like Burning Man. As I said, like I like the social aspects of like being able to play with camps, like you kind of know each other, like you know which camps are around, like you can kind of play with that, and I like that. But like growing 500 or 1,000 people, that doesn't really change that fact in comparison to Burning Man. Like, and for me, like an important, like I think I have burner ideologically, or like as an idea for a burn, that it's supposed to develop without anybody leading the way. it should kind of be developing through the people who go there, which is very complex when it comes to co-creation, of course. But I do see a lot of people who want to like put on more rules or put in like restrictions and stuff like that, because now with so many people, there's always a discussion about like, can we take in this many virgins? How will the culture survive? Blah, blah, blah. And I feel like, what the fuck is the culture? Like, I don't even know how to define the culture that we're trying to save here. Like, it's everything and it's everyone. And for me, I think it's totally natural that the burn is growing in size. And if you want a small and cozy burn, as it used to be 5 or 10 years ago, then there are plenty of those. Like, I think people are nostalgic in what Borderland used to be. And I get that, but like, I don't think that's how, you can't really control that kind of development. I like that it's growing. I think it's fun with new people. I think Borderland needs new people. Like, virgins are usually, honestly, the people who take on most lead roles. Veterans don't do shit, to my experience.
Call out.
But like, because they feel that they've done theirs or something. Not totally true, but like, I think new blood is always needed for any kind of community. And these kind of events, we need more people all the time. That is good. And the event is growing. And if you want what Borderland used to be, then create something different. Like, it doesn't have to be Borderland. Borderland is Borderland, and that is growing. And even if virgins take over and it becomes just a big rave, and you don't want that, then do something else. It doesn't matter. Like, but I like the growth of it. I think it's good.
Now, you know, I would say in general, most people experience the burn, find something within themselves, and kind of bring it back into their everyday lives. I feel like you're an exceptional case where where you're actually bringing more of yourself into the burn as a gift.
I would say they're reciprocal. Like, it has been an exploration for me too, like to be able to live out this. And I created the Peacocks also as a space for me to explore these kind of aspects of myself. And I do bring them to default world, and then I bring it back.
Yeah.
And I think that's how it should be.
Yeah. How have you brought more of your burner self into the default world?
I think, like, ever since, like, as I said, like the first exploration of how to feel sexy at kink parties and stuff like that, and then development with the burner world, and then into the Peacocks, I have had like a big interest in how I express myself, dress-wise, but also like communication-wise, and I like to play with that. And I think in the default world, especially like real default world, like at work or something, I have stopped giving so much fucks. Like, I also have like the privilege of working in a place where people don't care. Like, it's really like a tech company, and I am the weirdo, but that's fine. So like, it doesn't really matter, but like, I do think it's interesting to explore how to dress myself, and I do dress myself in a way that many people don't, I would say. And to not separate them completely has been a development, definitely.
Okay. What do you think is unique about the burner culture in the Nordics or Scandinavia?
Compared to other burning cultures?
Yeah, compared to other regional burns or Big Burning Man, you know, what really separates the Nordics in relation to the burner scene or the burner culture?
It's a really interesting question, and in one way I think I'm the wrong person to ask, because I've never been to another burn outside of the Nordics. But the way I've understood it, on like the Peacocks, for example, is quite international. We have many people based in Stockholm, but we have a big group in Tel Aviv, a big group in Germany. We have like two or three Americans, and a big group from Switzerland. So there's people all over the place. And the way I understand it is that there is, for example, I've heard that there's a bigger focus on self-expression at Borderland than other regional big burns. Part of that is that you can, because it's not sand everywhere. I think. But also there is a point that like, and this is like Borderland history way before my time, but like Borderland wasn't born as a burn from the beginning. It was born as a LARP. Like the first iteration was actually a LARP. I don't remember, Future Dome or something. And as I've understood it, there's still traces of this at Borderland if you compare it to other burns. That there is a little bit more role playing, a little bit more dressing into a character. That kind of feeling of it still exists, and I see that. I'm not sure if it is more or less than other burns, but like I do think it's an important like aspect of it, that kind of development.
Okay, maybe we can round it off with what of the 10 plus couple amendments here and there of the burner principles do you resonate with the most?
I think that's an impossible question. Like the whole point of the principles for me is that they're kind of going against each other and they're very up for interpretation. I obviously love self-expression, but self-expression in and of itself could become stupid. Like you need the other stuff too. You need the inclusion, which is a super tricky principle, because what is inclusion? Are we really inclusive? Blah, blah, blah. And like all the other shit. Like any principle standing by itself is pointless. But like, I definitely love self-expression. That is something that I enjoy a lot.
Yes.
Obviously.
Like that's the whole obviously. Point. That's the whole point. Okay. Any message for maybe a new burner or a virgin who's watching this, you know, and is like, okay, like, what is something that I could take away from this interview that I can take with me that'll help me kind of acclimate to this environment?
I think what is like, first of all, just dive into it. And I try to tell these to new people in the camp, like who has never been to Borderland. Like, if you feel that you can take on a responsibility, for example, but don't dare to because I don't know how it usually works. Take it on, because like it doesn't matter how it usually works. We do it, like we reinvent it every year, and we do it in another way. So like it doesn't matter. So like dive into it, but like maybe the most important is to like do everything for yourself, not in a selfish way, but like do what you want to do. Like this at Borderland, for me at least, there's no point in joining a camp just because your friends are there. Join a camp because you want to be in that camp. And if that camp is full of strangers, then they're not going to be for long. And you can visit your friends, that doesn't matter. And you hang out with your friends all the time. Like it is a place for expanding and playing. So like play whatever you want to play, and try to diminish all the shame around it. That's the whole point for me.
Favorite memory outside of the Peacocks? Like favorite burner memory outside of the Peacocks, or like what, you know, a memory that really stands out for you, you know, like something that made a really great impact that had nothing to do with the Peacocks. There's like so many, but I kind of like moments that are like the randomness of burns, where
things just kind of flow and something just happens. Like I have this is quite a small one, but that is for me was super fun. It was like at the crossing, the first time we did the peacocks, I wrote a poem for the camp, like a peacock poem, and I read it like at our intro for the camp, and it was like, but this is still connected to the peacocks.
But
like there was 2 points during the burn, because I had like memorized the poem, and it was very like fresh in me, and I really loved it. So like at one point I remember I was at the church, and I had been dancing, and like it was chaotic and fun and blah blah blah, and it was like super warm in there. So I went out just to take a cigarette, and I went out and just like lit a cigarette, and then I realized that I was basically standing in a light, like one of the lights was just shining on me. There was like 3 or 4 people just standing, talking like in a row in front of me, and I was like standing there in the light in front of them, and they were looking at me, and I was like, I'm gonna read a poem. So I just read the poem, and they were like, what the fuck just happened?
I remember being in experiences where I was that person. Like, what is actually going on here? Was this orchestrated? Was this, there's so much so many questions.
It was super chaotic. I was just finding myself in front of a small audience in the spotlight. I was like, let's do it.
This is it. It's here. It's now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I just thought about like how it was for them. Them standing there talking, someone just coming out, standing in the spotlight, reading a poem by heart, and then just leaving. Like, what the fuck is happening? And then it kind of symbolizes also the chaotic, playful nature of Burns, I think.
It's my personal belief that what we cultivate in the Burns is prototyping and innovating what we should do in society or bring into society, activate more. I want to hear your take on what you want to bring from the burn into the default world, into our modern culture.
I think I do think burns are important for people politically too, or in connection to society as a whole. But I think it's important to it's a complex question. I think the world of a burn is very special. I don't think it would work as a society, like the way a burn is structured. But I do think it is a super important playground for seeing, in some ways, seeing how things can be structured and organized in a different way, but also just seeing, and I mean seeing with your experience, kind of experiencing that things can be organized differently. Because I think that's I don't know, I come from a leftist family with Marxist parents, and one of the problems with Marxism and one of the things with capitalism today is that there are no alternatives, right? And even Marxism doesn't really give an alternative. It's mostly a critique of capitalism. This is super academic. Sorry for that, but
no, please, please. So welcome.
But I think it's something really, really important of living something that is different, and seeing that just the fact that things can be different. And as I said, I don't think we can organize the world the way we organize Borderland, but I do think that living experience is super, super important. And I think the playground to explore quite freely, and not only in an individualistic New Age way, I explore myself and I grow as a person and individual. Fuck that. I think burns are way more of a weave of people growing together like in combination to each other, and that is super important. And I also do think that a lot of the things we do at Borderland can be transferred to the default world.
Right.
Like maybe, for example, as I said before, I don't think burns are driven by efficiency. I don't think they should be. The co-creational organization is way less efficient than like a top-down one, I think, usually at least. But maybe efficiency shouldn't be our goal.
Right.
Maybe like the well-being of people there, or like the growth of people there should be a goal. Maybe seeing that is another way to focus like as organizational structure, and maybe we can like try to structure society like that instead. I don't know.
I love the idea of shifting the foundational value system of modern day society and having a lived experience, a psychosomatic experience of what reality can be when the value system, the foundational value system, the ethos is actually different.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's fascinating.
Yeah, that always surprised me in the beginning, like when I just got into the burner community and I didn't really understand everything. I was like meeting all these like libertarians. There's a lot of like, a cool thing about Borderland is that there's so many different views in people. Like there's leftist queers and there's like right-wing libertarians, like all working together in a way that is amazing, that I've never seen any place else. But I remember coming there and meeting like libertarian dudes, reading Jordan Peterson, don't believing in social structures. And I was like, but you're doing kind of some kind of anarchistic Marxism here. Like, what are you talking about? And I don't think we really are, but like, there is something fun about that.
Okay, bonus question that just came up. If, from an academic perspective, and from a literature and sociological perspective, how feel free to totally switch the vernacular and the language to an academic perspective. Say an academic is curious about the sociology of a burn. How would you describe it from that perspective?
For me, literature, like my interest in literature, that I kind of bring into other aspects of my life is an interest for like narratives, for example, in different ways. And I think Borderland is a weave of narratives. Like it is creating narratives quite freely. Like the Peacocks is a narrative. Like creating this archetype that I talked about. Like that is a kind of creating a character as a mean to explore yourself or explore the group or explore the burn as a whole. And that is quite apparent at Borderland, I think.
It's almost, at one point it felt for me from a very like energetical perspective, like tribal warfare of narratives. Or like, it's different tribes, it's different narratives, and they're all essentially like playing a game of cards. Like, it's like, here's my set of cards, and then here's their set of cards. And how do they interact? What cancels out?
But it's not warfare. There are some aspects where the Peacocks kind of play against other camps and like have some kind of fight. But both us and the other camp are in on it. It's not warfare.
It's a game.
Yeah.
It's a narrative game.
Exactly.
What kind of narratives would you like more of in Borderland?
Yeah. We need more drama at Borderland.
Oh, that's so good. Why do we need more drama at Borderland?
Like before Borderland, there's always a lot of drama, but that's just bullshit,
Yeah.
But like we need more playful drama. I think we need more camps that take on a certain role. Like there's so many camps that it's like we create this cuddle puddle, and that's amazing. Those are needed too. But like but we have some characters. We have the foxes who are like sexy and sleazy, and we have the peacocks who are like divas, and the church who are just super kinky.
Yeah.
and burnt out.
Oops.
No offense.
It's true.
I'm not sure if that's part of the character, but it's like
it's definitely a narrative.
and like I kind of like that about Borderland, like these tribes, as you describe it as, that has so much potential for playful games.
Right.
Like the fact to identify as a peacock creates a lot of opportunities for play, which is very fun. And I think we need more like kind of self-made archetypes.
Right. Yes. I love that. Self-made archetypes. Because I mean there I mean, you know, there's this like, you know. Yeah. There are these traditional archetypes that we have been holding on to for so long, but there's such a need for new ones. And not just in the burner community, but society as a whole.
Definitely.
And I can't think of a better platform to test, to stress test, to see the relational aspect of different archetypes, how they relate to each other, how they stand out in comparison. This is what we need more of in society, where we've been boxed in terms of identity, left, right, you know, queer, you know, liberal. It's so boring.
It is.
So boring.
Yeah.
And I feel...
That's what I like least about the normal world. It's so boring.
Yeah.
For example, I think one of the best camp ideas and one of the best camps at Borderland was made by Dennis and Jorinda, who were actually peacocks at the crossing. Amazing people. They created the Tropical Goth camp, which is the best fucking camp ever. So they create like a dark tiki bar. And like they had a performance, I think, like once every day, where they just sat on this raft where the dark tiki bar was, on like sunbathing chairs or whatever you call it, in like dark glasses, and played like a emo song on repeat for 15 minutes. And whenever somebody came and was like, "What are you doing?" they were like, "Shh," and that was it. Fucking brilliant. Tropical Goth. It's such a good concept.
Any lived experiences that you're looking forward to in your future burns?
Like one thing I do look forward to is actually what will happen after the peacocks, because the peacocks has become such a big part of my latest burner experiences, and also in a way in all of my burner experiences, because I think QQQ was kind of leading up to this, and I'm kind of looking forward to what will happen after that. Like I do love the peacocks madly, but like there will be an after, and I look forward to what's going to happen.
Yeah,
because that is like unexplored territory kind of.
Yeah, it's so funny that how like in a way the burner experience is like life is a circular event.
Yeah.
You know, it feels like you're slowly approaching the beginning phase in a different position in relation to the life cycle of the peacocks, like the life cycle of the QQQ.
And I think it should be like that.
Yes.
I think something I wish for the peacocks is that I wish that we don't become old. I don't want the peacocks to survive. I want us to have an appropriate life cycle and then leave place for other shit. Like we don't want to become an institution that everybody knows what's going to happen in. That's not the peacocks. No. Like then we should like stop when we're on top, and then like, you know, don't become, we're not going to do this for 10 years and just repeat it. It should leave place for us to do other things, but also since we have like, I don't know, everybody knows who we are kind of. Like
no, well now we do.
Yeah. But and like, I think it's also important for leaving place for other people. Yeah. Like when the peacocks disappears, it will leave a hole, and that will be filled with other shit, and that is important, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of integral to, you know, the literal burn Yeah. There's this beautiful sense of impermanence that happens, that we do burn everything at the end. And that gives us space.
Yeah, we burn some stuff and store the rest in containers. But.
It gets recycled, but there's a sustainability angle in the Scandinavian burner community that's very important as well.
It is.
Great. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Yes, it's been a terrifically wonderful, fabulous, terrifying experience. Thank you.
Thank you for this time. You've been listening to Burner Profiles, an interview podcast about the Nordic Burning Man community. We really hope you liked the episode. Like and subscribe if you do.